We're coming up to a very special time at the moment. We turned 3 this month, which is pretty. I'm a chef by qualification. I worked in fine dining and high-end catering, and always didn't really feel like I've been meeting my fulfillment in my career. Although I got up through the levels, and it was when I hit sort of the peak of my career in terms of qualification, COVID happened, and I was stood down like so many, and had a young family, and I was sort of a bit worried about what the future was going to entail. And then on July 5th, 2020, I was watching the news, and I'm sure like many of you, because I know where you probably were on that day, you were at home, locked down like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I watched the news where like over 5,000 people were locked down in towers in northern Melbourne, particularly in Livingston, where people were in a crisis. They were locked in their homes, but we didn't have the right resources to support the needs of a culturally diverse community. Oh, like today we have a beef sukkah from Somalia, or an Ethiopian darawat, and a Moroccan vegetable tagine. So these dishes are built to feed communities. You don't cook for one, you don't cook for your family or just your direct family, you cook it for a village. And often it's grandmothers teaching granddaughters, and it skips a generation whilst the mothers usually go off to work or tend to other things. And then the recipes get passed down from generation to feed the masses. So that's why we have the capacity to feed people en masse, because we cook in big batches so everyone has access to culturally appropriate food. Standardisation and specialisation was developed, and we went out of the domestic mind frame of cooking things in pots and cooking things in gallons of oil that I mean, and we did it on a commercial structure, and we got extended by another 6 months, and we ended up making, by the end of the program, 750 meals a week, which totaled 27,500 over the year. We had a 100% retention rate, and we had women who couldn't even speak to me. I mean, we're all masked up during the time, so couldn't look me in the eye, could barely say hello with confidence, or would hide behind the guise of I don't speak English. And yeah, we just worked it out, and we ended up achieving our goals, which enabled us to build the data and show the impact of this strategy. We got some funding from the state government, which allowed us to have this place. So they paid for 12 months. That finished in February. So we had a really interesting process of transitioning from a funded program that saw around 55 employment outcomes for long-term unemployed women from migrant and refugee backgrounds to a self-funded business, which we weren't prepared for. I'll be honest. There's no manual to this sort of stuff. We build a reliance on funding and external parties to lift us up and empower us because their mums are employed. And when we invest in women, so see a whole community impact as well, because we have these women giving back, setting the parameters for future and younger women to come in and say, there are opportunities. If my English is at a level 2, I can still use 200 units and can be placed on a building site or a distribution centre floor, and it's allowing culturally appropriate food access to everyone. And from a corporate perspective, we also supply a ESG report, a biannual ESG report, which shows contribution to people and planet. And it's all managed in the back end from a computer here, which is incredible. And sometimes I get discounted prices, but I came back on Friday with about 60 kilos of food, and I spent about $80. Right? So because of that hurdle of engagement, we have to do the extra work.
So you've got to go out there and
yeah.
So, yeah.
And then I don't use the suppliers anymore. I'm actually going to Costco or to procure things to maintain within our budget.
Yeah.
We've dropped it down significantly since doing this, but in terms of time, as you can imagine, time is money, like in any business. So I essentially lose Friday of anything to do because I start speaking in tongues by about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock by that stage. So we're always open to more support, obviously, but that's for development. We don't want to be a hat-in-hand organisation. We want to create, we want to collaborate, and we want to have mutually beneficial engagement. We said organic waste is 20% of our packaging, and it creates compost. The compost will go to a community garden here in the Docklands to grow the vegetables. The vegetables will come back here to create the food relief units. So we'll have more flexibility there. But that's a full circular economy.